Welcome to the webinar. My name is Jeff Burns and I work on our product management team. Today we're going to talk about our latest update to the mobile app and how it can help your site processes. We're going to start with a company overview and then we'll cover the mobile app and then we'll demo the latest feature, which is the supplier staging features. Feel free to submit your questions throughout the meeting. We'll save time at the end of the webinar for Q&A with our VP of Product Management, Daniel Binion. So we're going to start with the company overview. We were founded in 2007 to bridge the gap between the capabilities of auto ID and commercial needs of efficiency-conscious firms. Auto ID is barcodes and RFID. We use passive and active RFID, and in conjunction with our product, which is Jovix, which is an award-winning materials readiness application developed specifically for capital asset market and has been used on over 300 deployments spanning more than 10 countries and 3 different continents. Jovix stands for Job Site Visibility Extension, and it combines the web-based server software and the mobile and auto ID technologies to extend access to information to decision makers in the field. And it also helps digitize and automate manual paper-based processes. And it provides owners and EPC firms, EPCs are engineering, procurement, and construction firms, contractors, fabricators, suppliers, and it helps them all by removing barriers to productivity that result from material management issues. So I want to talk a little more about where we save companies. So on an average 10-hour workday, you can see that only 37% or 3.7 hours of a 10-hour day is actually spent with skilled laborers on their tools. So if you've got a pipe fitter that works a 10-hour shift, on average they're going to work 3.7 hours of that shift actually fitting pipes. The rest of that time is going to be dedicated to crew movement, to 14% on early quits and breaks, 15% on crew movement, 11% on crew planning, 8% on material movement, and 15% on waiting on materials. And so that's 1.5 hours of a 10-hour workday just waiting on materials. So our purpose is to eliminate the time waiting on materials to 0. So our vision is to be the best in the world at providing real-time, geo-contextual, and relational visibility regarding construction materials from fabrication, that supplier, all the way to installation. So we're starting at the supplier and we end when those materials have been given to the skilled laborer or the installer at the work phase. So our passion is working as a team to develop innovative solutions to complex problems that ultimately have a transformative impact on global industry. So if you want to learn more about Atlas RFID Solutions or how Jovix helps industrial construction projects and operating assets increase in efficiency, and help schedules and reduce unnecessary costs, we want you to go to atlasrfid.com and check that out. So over my past 2 years with Atlas, I've gotten the chance to work on many large-scale construction projects, and I've gotten a chance to see firsthand how our product makes lives easier and save on the bottom line. And I want to tell a quick story that illustrates the mission of Atlas and Jovix and our impact on a particular site. So in 2010, there's an oil rig project. This is a company that engineers, procures materials, and builds builds oil rigs. And they track their materials using traditional methods with just clipboards and Microsoft Excel. And towards the end of this particular project, they were having trouble tracking the materials on site. So they had a lot of pipe spools that were critical to construction, and they had a really large site, a 500-acre site with multiple laydown yards and multiple warehouses. And they had misplaced a number of these pipe spools that were expensive. They're $90,000, $100,000 pipe spools that are very specifically engineered. And so they were critical to construction. They couldn't resume until they found these pipes and installed them. The biggest cost, though, is if they couldn't find a pipe, then it took 9 months or 10 months to remake these pipes. So they were falling behind at the end of this project, and what they decided to do was rally all of their people to comb the laydown yard and find these missing pipes. So they got their project managers, they got their skilled laborers, they got secretaries, and they walked arm in arm and combed their laydown yards searching for these pipes. And it was a number of them. And when they would find one that matched their list, what they were looking for, they would sound an air horn and a truck would drive over and rush it to installation. And they had to come in on the weekends, and every day they were searching for these pipes. So dedicating a lot of time to this, and ultimately some of them they never found. So they had to delay the project while waiting on reprocurement of these very special pipes. So ultimately they finished this project. It was well behind schedule, and they wanted to find a better way to manage their processes on site. So we were brought on to the very next oil rig construction project, and we were our task was to help them with materials readiness and tracking and planning on site. So we started at that point. We started at receipt. So when a material arrived at site, the receiver would associate it to a material in the system and apply a label and a RFID tag, and we served as a single point of information where material records and locations were stored, and also material status, and it was used for work package planning, so they could plan when they would need stuff well in advance. So they were being proactive rather than reactive, and using that old method where they are scrambling for materials. In this, with us, we helped them plan that out. And ultimately on this project, not a single pipe spool was lost, so zero reprocurement cost. They finished 6 months early, and the customer, their customer, directly attributed the success to Jovix. And there are a lot of ways you can calculate the value of Jovix on this project. You can calculate it by reduced time waiting on materials, less overtime, safety considerations, and even the value of the project going operational 6 months early. Regardless of how you choose to calculate in this comparison example, it's clear that we saved at least a few $1 million by going ahead of 6 months ahead of schedule by deploying this oil rig to be able to drill in the ocean 6 months early. So this is one of my favorite success stories because I spent a lot of time on this site. I worked with the people who were on both the old project and the project where we were brought on, and I got to hear firsthand how Jovix streamline the processes, and they really appreciated not having to go arm in arm on the weekend doing these searches for these engineered pipe spools. The customer adopted Jovix in every possible way. They track everything with it. They do their work face planning with it. And whenever we have a new feature, they're often the first to try it out. So, like I said, one of my favorite success stories, and it kind of illustrates how we had a big impact on that particular site. So now I want to talk about the mobile application. The Jovix mobile app, it extends core track and trace functionality to mobile users, and it has a number of other features. It currently runs on Android 6.0 or later. Our iOS application is currently in the works, and what's great is customers aren't required to buy rugged tablets. So many of the field users also already have Android smartphones or iOS smartphones, and it streamlines adoption on the site, and upstream at the suppliers, they're able to easily just download the app and start using it. So some of those applications for both suppliers and job sites, you can associate RFID tags. So you can take a tag, put it on material, and record that RFID tag number to a material. You can maintain the GPS location of materials with it simply by scanning the material barcode or selecting it in a list, and just hit update GPS, and it saves it to your current phone GPS location. You can locate materials using GPS and RFID. So if you look at this screen here, on this phone, you've got a blue dot for the user and a red dot for the material that they're looking for. Gives them an arrow, shows them that it's 137 meters to the northeast. They can walk to it based on the stored GPS location. And then once they get an RFID range, their RFID reader and this phone interface will navigate them directly to that material. So that is really useful, because GPS, oftentimes it's got a 10 meter or 30 foot accuracy, or maybe you might be able to get 5 or 10 feet accuracy. But if you've got a really dense laydown yard, you've got a lot of pipes that are similar, but you need a specific pipe or material, then this will navigate. The RFID location feature will navigate you directly to that material. So if you've got a dusty site, maybe some snow on the ground, and this will take you directly to it. And we can also update material statuses. So for example, a supplier can update a status to shipped, or ready for ship, or released for shipping, or maybe it's packed or in transit. At the job site, they can update a material to inventory. They could maybe say that it's been issued to installation crew, or it's damaged. So all of those, it's just a click of a button. You select the material, select this new status, and it's saved. And you can save, like I said, the GPS location right then and there. You can capture material pictures with it. So what's great about that is, as soon as one user takes a picture of a material, they take a picture of a pipe spool, for example, that picture is attached to that material in the entire system. So anyone else on site using the mobile app can see that picture instantaneously. Project managers that could be at a headquarters that's not at the site could see the picture instantly, and it'll help them in a number of ways. You get to see the material, not just a description of it, and you can see the location of it, and you can see, if you're a picker, for example, and you're trying to find this particular material, you'll get that image of what you're looking for, along with the navigation to that material. So great features in that core track and trace functionality. It's great that smartphones are ubiquitous, so everybody has one of these in their pocket, and you just download the app. So you don't have to have an expensive, rugged Windows tablet. And the expansion of Jovix usage leads to an increase in status and location updates from data publishers while granting access to those individual consumers. So the more people that use it, the better, the more valuable the overall system becomes. More people are inputting it, more people are consuming the data from it. Also, time reduction to locate materials for a larger audience. So maybe a site has, in the past they had 20 rugged Windows tablets. Now virtually everybody on site can use it rather than just those 20 users, and they can just pull out their smartphone and find those materials easily. So it's not specific to one audience. Okay, so now let's talk about our supplier staging features. So this is a new feature set that was released with 2017.9 update, and it is generally available to our users. So the first thing I want to say is the supplier features are, it's a branched login. So it's an active directory that if you log in with a supplier username, then it's going to take you to your specific supplier roles. So the application is going to be different than what we talked about earlier. Those the site features like find and associate tags, and that entire application is different than if you were to log in as a supplier. What a lot of sites use multiple suppliers. So let's say you're a site that has 5 or 10 different suppliers that supply you with pipes, and when each of them log in, they're only going to be able to see their specific materials, only the features and the materials that are associated with their role. So there's going to be no concern of one supplier seeing another supplier's materials or quantities or anything like that. So that helps us out with contractual obligations and confidentiality. So we're going to log in using our supplier username and password on the mobile app here. And our role, we are a supplier, an upstream supplier that is filling purchase orders. So we want to add materials to a purchase order and get them shipped to our customer. So the first thing we're going to do is select our purchase order that we're working from. So here I've got a number of filters, and I'm going to select the top one and type in the purchase order number. So they type in, they've got a drop down which matches what they've typed in, and we're going to select our purchase order and come back to our filters. The next filter is SRN, which stands for Shipment Release Notification. Shipping release notification is if you've got a supplier that is supplying you with all of your pipes for the next 6 months, you don't want to receive everything all at once. If you did, it would just take up space on your site, collect dust, rust. You want to receive things in a particular order. So oftentimes a purchase order will have a shipping release number that sequences those materials for that work phase planning, and just helps sequence the overall project. So we're going to select shipping release notice and number, and we will select our SRN. And the next two options are, does it have a shipping unit and does it have an RFID tag already? So maybe I've been working already with a pallet or a crate, and I'm just filling that up with this purchase order. So if it already has that, then we can select that and select RFID tag. So now we've got the materials that meet the criteria of those filters. So we've got a purchase order number, which we selected, the SRN, and shipping unit and RFID. And yes, it has all of those. So now I'm going to click Options. And this is going to tell us, we're going to select what actions we want to take with this purchase order and these materials. So the first option is split, and that arrow takes us over to configure our split. So do we want to enable a PODL, total split? So purchase order delivery line, the PODL, is just a material that is on a purchase order. So each one has a delivery line, and we're saying that we want to split up this particular delivery line into multiple purchase orders. So a good example of this, let's say we're shipping our site 90 feet of pipe. We're not going to ship them a 90-foot stretch of pipe all in one purchase order. We're going to split that up, and then it's going to be something manageable for shipping. So we have two different ways to split the purchase order. If we click Auto, it's just going to split it into equal quantities. And if we want to do custom, we're going to define what those quantities will be. So in this case, we're working with linear feet of pipe. So we can, if we did auto and it was 90 feet, it would say send one shipment of 45, and there would be 45 feet remaining. If we do custom, we will define how much we want to ship. So we'll do a custom. We do want to associate an RFID tag. We want to configure it so when we're processing this, it will print a label. And here we can just select our number of labels to print. We can hit none, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or enter a custom amount of labels up to 20. So if you've got a number of labels you need to print, that's easy to do. The next thing is the shipping unit. Our arrow would take us over to the shipping unit, and if there's already an existing shipping unit, we can select it, search for it, scan the barcode. Maybe we've got a crate that we're working next to, and we're just filling up that crate with these purchase order items. We just scan it, and it will automatically put it in that crate. Or we can create a new shipping unit. So we'll do that. The shipping unit number, if you leave it blank, it'll auto-generate to the next one in sequence. We'll go ahead and put SU17. The shipping unit type, we'll go ahead and say it's a pallet, and we'll go ahead and attach an RFID tag to it and scan that RFID tag. And we can go ahead and print a label for it. What's great about this is we can fill up a pallet or a crate or a box and put an RFID tag on it, put a label on it, and when it is received, they scan that barcode, or they read that RFID tag, maybe by even a gate reader, and they can receive everything that is in that pallet, crate, box all at once. They don't have to break it open, and so they don't have to break open that crate or pallet upon receipt, and they can go ahead and store it, and they know that everything's inside of it ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and apply those options, and we still haven't actually performed the actions yet, so we want to look for some more materials to add to this purchase order. So I selected this this button over here to the left. You can see it's layered, so there's some things beneath it. We can see the actions that we're going to take. The first thing is the purchase order, the SRN, the shipping unit, the RFID. We are doing that custom split we set up. We've got an RFID tag. We're going to print one label. We've got it's going to be on the shipping unit, and that's going to apply to everything that we have selected here. And if we want to add some more items, we can filter for those. So if you have a purchase order, maybe the purchase order has 300 items on it, and you don't want to just scroll down and search manually for these items, you can actually just type it in. So this is a contains filter, so it's going to look for if a title just contains. It's not going to have to start with what we search for here. So we're going to search for 6102-1. We'll hit the check mark, and we'll see that these 3 materials pop up. And in the tail end of it, each of them end in 6102-1. And we can select these materials, checking that box, and then we hit start. So this is the material we'll add to this purchase order, and we'll hit start. And the next option is, I said, okay, you wanted to do the custom split, so how much do you want to split it from? So the purchase order, they requested 90 feet of this pipe. We're going to select that we can only handle 20 feet on this shipment, and notice that the remaining quantity is 70 feet. So it automatically updates, it keeps track of how much you still owe them, and we have defined how much we're going to ship them on this purchase order. So the next thing is, I told them I wanted to do the RFID. If you look here, I've got all of those actions I defined earlier: the split, the RFID, the printing the label, and attach it to a shipping unit. And the only one that's not green is the RFID, which means I need to go ahead and attach that RFID tag to it. So I'm going to scan that RFID. It puts in the RFID value, and now everything is green. So I can hit apply. It prints that label, and now we can attach it to that material, and we are done. Okay, so we've done that with one material. We split 20 feet from our purchase order of 90 feet. And you can see that you could come through and do this with each individual one. You've already set up all the actions that you want to do, and you just select and go right down the list. And this is on the phone. They just pull it out of the pocket, and they're working there in the supplier warehouse, getting these purchase orders taken care of quickly and accurately, and just a great feature for your suppliers to have, easy to actually implement because it's on a smartphone. So we're really excited to offer this for our upstream suppliers to help you manage those materials. It's always great to get your materials visibility upstream, because you can go ahead and get those RFID tags on it off-site at the very beginning, where those materials are fabricated and distributed to you, and you have that upstream visibility. So great functionality here we have. So that's it for our new supplier staging feature in the Android app. So now I want to talk about a few company updates. The first is we are expanding our analytics capabilities by integrating with Power BI. So this is great because Power BI is very configurable, and you can create actionable insights based on real information from Jovix. We're also expanding our API to provide a standardized, simple way to integrate with client databases and software. So we can plug and play with the systems that you already use for other materials management. We're also integrating with the industry standard Oracle P6 scheduling application. So many of your sites probably already use Oracle P6. So we plug directly into that now. We're also doing drone testing with active and passive RFID. So a number of sites already use drones for photo progress updates, for volumetric measurements. They're using them for visual inspections. And we were approached to do some active drone testing to get RFID location updates. So the drone flies over a laydown yard in a lawnmower type pattern, and it collects all the locations of the RFID tags and it publishes them to our Jovix database. So it's a way to to sweep these yards and update the locations faster with just less manpower. And we're also working on Bluetooth Low Energy. So Bluetooth Low Energy tags are tags that attach to materials just like you would attach a passive or active RFID tag to, and the advantage with them is that they use the Bluetooth feature that you already have on your phone. So with just the mobile application, you could track your materials and do all the Jovix features without any additional hardware other than your smartphone. So we are looking into that and testing it. And so now I want to cover our questions and answers. If you're ready to learn more and set up a no obligation evaluation for your project, just go to atlasrfid.com/contact-us, or you can email our VP of Product Management, Daniel Binion. All right, so now we want to show you a quick video about the culture at Atlas.
Making sure that customers have a good experience with our product. I really enjoy and am driven by when I go out to one of the projects and see a user that's been using our product for several months, and they look at me and say, "This is so much better than the paper-based process that we were using in the past."
What drives me is a commitment to excellence, not only as an individual, but as being part of a team and the company as a whole, to deliver value to our clients so that they can maximize the productivity that they want to achieve by using Jovix in their daily processes.
Empathy with the customer and a good understanding of the problem that they're trying to solve is critical to building something that's useful. It's also very validating to hear from customers when they want something or they need something in addition to what we've already built that kind of lets us know that we're heading in the right direction.
We wouldn't have Jovix if it weren't for client feedback. The whole idea behind Jovix is that it's built for a specific industry. And without the participation and the partnerships with those people within that industry, we wouldn't be able to make the tool that it is today. Client feedback helps us determine what we should do, what we should make, and where we should focus our time and energy within Jovix. So having that client feedback is it's vital to the operation. It's paramount to the success of Jovix overall.
From our perspective, working in quality, if a user comes back and says that something is easy to use and it makes their life better, then to me, that is just a wonderful thing to hear from a customer.
Be validation that we've actually solved the problem, so that we've made their jobs easier, their lives simpler. It's always great to hear, wow, it just works.
If a Jovix user were to say to me that they don't know how industrial construction projects were built without Jovix, that would be the best thing I could hear. That would mean that we've solved a real problem and delivered that solution so effectively that it's accepted as just the way things are done.
To me, success looks like working hard towards something, particularly with a team of people who are like-minded and have that same goal that you do. We all seem to recognize the common goal in what makes the company greater and what makes our clients more satisfied with the product.
There's multiple forms of success, but here at Atlas, one of the things that really stands out to me is that it's the success of the entire team versus an individual. We have this family-like atmosphere in our company, and we all understand that it takes an entire group of people working as one to do what we do each and every day.
Success is when I get to close out a project. As a program manager, I am able to see projects all the way through the end. And at the end of the projects, when we're ready to shut down the Jovix instance, the project is being turned over to the owners, and we see that we're able to pull metrics out of our system. We're able to see the metrics that we're able to give the clients to show them that they've had a huge decrease in the amount of items and materials that they've lost. They've got better records upstream and downstream of how they've handled the materials. Shows a huge success to me as they use Jovix in their projects.
Now I'm going to turn it over to Daniel to cover our question and answers.